All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we're going to talk about what Tim Bradley had to say about the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight in this video. And I'm going to tell you, man, Tim Bradley is funny. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. We are still in the 147-pound division, probably all the way through this week. I just had such a good time talking about the welterweight division. Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford are on the way to fighting each other, and Tim Bradley, a former 147-pound champion, former 140-pound champion, gave his 2 cents into who he thinks is going to win and how. Let's talk about that in this video, but before I do, I want to welcome back subscribers to the channel. If you are not subscribed, take my invitation, please, to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so that you can be notified of when we release more videos. We have a very good, very knowledgeable and active boxing community here. So I invite you to join it. And the best way to do that is hit that bell icon. We do live streams pretty much every day of the week. We do videos every day of the week. For the most part, got to take a day off here and there. However, always good boxing talk to be had. So please join the community. Now, let's get into this. Tim Bradley, ESPN commentator, is at a fight for Dillian Whyte and Tyson Fury, a big heavyweight fight coming up this weekend that's taking place in the UK in Wembley Stadium. Tyson Fury is a WBC champion, the guy that beat Deontay Wilder for his belt. Dillian Whyte is the mandatory, finally getting his shot at a mandatory belt. So they had a press conference today. Tim Bradley was there to talk about that. But we'll cover that fight Saturday when that fight takes place. For right now, my interest was in the predictions that Tim Bradley made for several fights. Specifically, he predicted that Shakur Stevenson would beat Oscar Valdez like 8 rounds to 4. Says Tyson Fury beats Dillian Whyte by knockout. And then for the big fight that everybody's wondering about, Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford, he gave an answer that was not surprising. However, the way that he said it, I think was very revealing. And now this may be me reading into it. It's definitely me reading into it, but I invite you, go to Fight Hub and listen to that interview. He basically said, look, I am going with Errol Spence Jr., Terence Crawford, excuse me. He's going with Terence Crawford to knock out Errol Spence Jr. He said, I don't know, the 6th, 7th, or the 8th round. He said, what did I say before? Or maybe the 10th round. I got him by knockout. You know, Terence Crawford is this, talked about his different attributes, talked about his timing, talked about his power, talked about his footwork, right? And then said that's why he has Errol Spence Jr. Now he said, now this is where I'm saying what he said was telling. Because he said, now also, Errol Spence Jr., he's a machine. And, you can offset a lot of that stuff that I just mentioned about Terence Crawford with your activity, with your volume. But, Bud is my guy. So I'm going to stay with my guy and say that he is going to knock him out, but that he's going to win by knockout in, I can't remember, it was the 8th or the 9th or the 10th round, right? Didn't say, unlike when he talked about how Dillian Whyte was going to lose to Tyson Fury. He didn't say how he was going to do it. He said he was going to stick with his guy. Terence Crawford is my guy, so I'm riding with my guy. All right. Thank you for the admission. Thank you for the admission, Tim Bradley. He's going with Terence Crawford because Terence Crawford is his guy. Now, not to say, and I want to be real clear because I know I'm getting from Terence Crawford supporters, never like to hear anybody that thinks Terence Crawford can lose to Errol Spence. Likewise, and to be fair, a lot of Errol Spence Jr. fans cannot stand when people say that they think Terence Crawford can beat Errol Spence Jr. So I know that it goes both ways in that regard. For me personally, though, I say I think Errol Spence Jr. is going to beat Terence Crawford because of what I see Errol Spence Jr. doing in the ring, and the fact that what I've seen out of Terence Crawford and the attributes that he's had and the stellar fights that he's had, he has not had to deal with that level of fighter or that style of fighter. So when I compare the styles of the fighters, I say Errol Spence Jr. because of the style of the fight. People who are pointing to Terence Crawford are talking about intangibles. And the fact that he is, for example, Teddy Atlas says that Terence Crawford has better instincts, right? I don't think that instinct is going to. Instincts can only do so much against a machine gun. If the fire keeps coming at you and keeps coming at you, your instincts can throw you wrong when you don't have some consistent, rock solid plan and way to approach that. But Tim Bradley stuck with Terence Crawford and says he picks Terence Crawford by knockout. However, you could hear it in his voice, at least that's my interpretation. And I do invite you to go to the Fight Hub interview where he gives the interview and listen to what Tim Bradley says. My feeling was that he was a little bit less confident than he was before Errol Spence Jr. had that last fight with Yordenis Ugas. And I think that anybody that believes that the same fighter that Errol Spence Jr. was when he fought Sean Porter or when he fought Danny Garcia or fought Mikey Garcia is the same guy that you're going to get, that you saw in that Ugas fight. I just think that that's being a little bit naive. And also, the thing that Errol Spence Jr. said about the fight with Terence Crawford, he said in the next fight, he's going to be even better because now he's going to have a second camp. That's the first camp that he felt like he was in 100. Actually, I don't even know if he said he was at 100%. I think he said he felt like he was at like 90. But if he gets a second camp in the second long period of time with that same nutritionist and that same mentality, that he is going to be a better fighter than he was against Yordenis Ugas. Because I do believe that there was some anxiousness and some bit that was off with Yordenis Ugas. Now, Terence Crawford on the other side, just to make sure I'm giving that man his full credit, is definitely a different animal than Yordenis Ugas. So Errol Spence Jr. is going to have different challenges fighting against Terence Crawford than he had against Yordenis Ugas, right? He's going to have somebody that does have better footwork, somebody that does switch southpaw to orthodox. The only thing that I'm saying is that switch from that southpaw stance with Terence Crawford switching to southpaw on Errol Spence Jr. is putting himself in a defensively more risky position going southpaw and southpaw against a southpaw. And it also, if he's not fighting him in an orthodox stance, really prevents him from using the best weapon that there is against a southpaw, which is a straight right hand, right? So Terence is going to have to be, if Terence can have a prolonged fight in the orthodox stance and be able to hit Errol with block Errol's, knock Errol's jab down, do all that stuff with the jab that you need to do with your lead hand, with your lead left hand against the southpaw and their lead right hand, his chances go up significantly in my book. However, I don't know how long he's going to be able to do that because it has been a very long time since he has fought even close to the majority of the fight in an orthodox stance. And what I also saw is the same, obviously not the same fighter, or not really the same level of fighter either, was Josh Taylor against Jack Cottrell. When Josh Taylor got in there with another guy that was a southpaw and tried to fight him with a southpaw, the dude could not get out of the way of the left hand. Even though he switched into southpaw, he was at the southpaw. In the southpaw stance, he could not get out of the way of that left hand for anything when it was closer to him than it usually is. So, but anyway, I'll take Tim Bradley at his word that that's what he believes. However, when he said, I'm just riding with my guy, he's referring to Terence Crawford in the first name and Spence's by the last name, as if there's a friendship and support, like he's in that camp. Sounded like a camp support to me. But anyway, he knows boxing better than I do, so I will take his word seriously and see what's going on. That's the second guy in a row that used to be on ESPN that has picked Terence Crawford to beat Errol Spence Jr. despite the Ugas fight. We'll see how that plays out. Still waiting to hear from Andre Ward on it. But anyway, that's my thought on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.